Us. Boy, oh boy, we're going to continue with the story, ladies, that we started chatting about yesterday. That's Will Smith. He's now apologizing to everyone, including Chris Rock, for the slap. He called it unacceptable and inexcusable, rather. So he writes that he reacted emotionally to jokes about his wife Jada's medical condition and says, quote, "I was out of line and I was wrong." So the Academy, though, they seem to still be moving forward with a formal review of the incident. So we said yesterday that the story would evolve. Here we are 24 hours more plus later. What do we make of this apology?
Well, it's all over the place, you know, talking about the issue, right? He's apologized, but yesterday it was the big story on our show, but also on every other show, like all the late night shows, those comedians all talked about it. They are, not surprisingly, on Chris Rock's side, making fun or criticizing Will Smith. And basically, I think it was Jimmy Kimmel who said there's no comedian who is friends with Will Smith right now. So a lot of people are wondering if this apology has been motivated by the fact that this situation has divided Hollywood and that it's kind of one of those things like, you know, you made the apology because otherwise the Academy would be mad at you, your peers, the industry, whatnot.
Yeah, I think I was waiting for this. I'm glad that he apologized to Chris. I think a lot of people were hoping he was going to apologize to Chris. I think what I've been sitting with is, pun intended, how much goodwill Will has garnered both with his Hollywood friends and with us, the public, his fans, over a 30-plus year career, and has his reputation for being, I think, overall a pretty nice guy. Has that allowed us to maybe some people forgive him or look over the worst of this and give him the benefit of the doubt? We have seen quickly how Hollywood continues, maybe besides the late night hosts and comedians, largely people are still rallying around Will. And is it because he really is a good guy and they've got a long-term friendship? Listen, if any of us had friends who did something really stupid, if it's a friend or a family member who you know, you're obviously going to be like, well, I'm looking at you as a whole person, and this one incident doesn't define you. So is that what's happening here? And therefore, this apology might be like, okay, that's good. That's all we needed to hear, Will.
I know there was a lot online yesterday in the other direction as well. I think people who maybe didn't necessarily care for him, who are just fans of movies, they're going to just be escalated into their position. Like I don't know, I found it very depressing. A lot of the conversation was like, I hate him, I never liked him, to Jada is toxic, she pushed him to this, to Chris Rock. Like everybody had an opinion and everybody is the villain and everybody is the victim, depending on who's looking at it. And so, of course, because it's the era of social media, there's a think piece from every different direction. It can become very overwhelming. And I think the most powerful stuff was illuminating the fact that many things can be true at once, right? That, of course, you know, violence is never acceptable. Slapping someone in the face is not acceptable. But also, there's a case to be made for Black women needing protection. And that also, you know, this is a man who has openly talked about coming from a history of violence himself. He felt like he couldn't protect his mother growing up. This gives you a framework of where somebody can end up. And of course, then you do have to add in the piece about comedy. Is it ever acceptable for a comedian to now feel like maybe threatened? Like, there are so many elements to this story. And the one thing I feel like is that Will be okay. And I feel like Chris Rock will be okay. He's going to be just fine. He's got material for days. And ultimately, the person who we're not talking about enough in this situation, which is Jada Pinkett Smith, she's going to be great because she's going to do a red table talk that is going to be...
Break records.
Break records, and we are all going to be here
She posted
for
on
it.
Instagram, by the way, just today. So she, you know, posted a message, and her message was, it's basically time for healing. Clearly, it sounds like Jada wants to move on. So I think that, you know, for her, I agree with you. I think that a conversation about Jada and about what her experience would have been like being mocked on stage for a medical condition has certainly been lost. And also the alopecia community who has been feeling quite hurt over the last few days.
I mean, I understand, and it's her story. So if she wants to move on, then I think we take cue. But I also think when something like that happens and violence like that happens, both with words and with actions, on that type of world stage, there needs to be some kind of check. Like, we need to be able to have that conversation, or a lot of damage gets done. And I understand, there's goodwill for will, but does that excuse? And, I think we've had that conversation a lot, with different celebrities.
What does the check look like?
What does the check look like? I think everyone...
is there a consequence? Meaning, should there be a consequence?
Should there be a
consequence?
consequence? What is the consequence?
Yeah.
And that's why the timing of this apology is feeling a little bit, potentially, is this driven by, a sense of apology, or is this driven by a motivation to save ego, to save face? Because like you said, there is some looking into by the Academy to see what they're going to do
Can it be
with
both,
this.
though?
I think so.
Like,
but
can you want to,
yes.
Save face or whatever, but can you also feel sorry? Like, to your point, can two things be true?
Yeah,
Yes.
I think they both can be true.
But it's very hard when this many people are talking about it to hold those truths. And I mean, we do have so many things, like you said, Cynthia, weighing in online.
By the way, our social media is blowing up.
Blowing
Yeah,
up.
blowing up.
SJ on Facebook says this very clearly. I don't think the apology was sincere at all. It was created by a bunch of PR reps. He hired to fix his broken image. He's fearful he won't book jobs, and he will be banned from other Hollywood events. I do have to say this about his apology. He didn't say, if you were offended, I apologize. He did
Right.
own the apology for what I am reading through the lines. And so I appreciate that part about it. But I agree. We also saw him partying the night away. So I agree, Cynthia. I want to hear from Jada.
What's going to be interesting now is what is going to happen. We know that the Academy, as we said off the top, has opened this formal investigation. Most people, including Whoopi Goldberg, who's on another talk show, and she had said that she's part of the Academy, and she's like, chances are very, very slim that something as drastic as him getting his award taken away is going to happen. But it does speak to consequence. It happened on the Academy Awards stage. So they do have a responsibility to take some kind of action. And what is that going to look like? And how will that hurt Will's reputation as well? But I'm just waiting for who's going to get the first big interviews with Will and Chris. Oprah, are you busy?
I think it's going to be his
Can we
wife.
go back to that comment, though?
Yeah.
Who was that?
SJ.
SJ?
Yeah, SJ.
I hear you, SJ. SJ doesn't have to believe the apology, but also, with all due respect to SJ, is SJ the judge of whether or not it's an adequate apology? Who gets to judge?
Lainey,
whether or
everyone's
not
the judge now.
Everyone is
that's
the judge.
but that's the
2022.
thing. So
We're all
if
judge and
everyone's the
jury.
judge,
Yeah, that's the
we
problem.
can't come to a consensus of what will be satisfactory. Here's the thing. I think what he did was wrong, 100%. Now we're in a position of who gets to judge how sorry he should be? So is it should we drag him out, put him on his knees, make him cry for 24 hours straight? Will that be enough?
I think somebody,
that's the
SJ might be
thing.
pointing out, though, that the first reaction when he went up and gave his speech, the
Yeah.
lack of acknowledgement there, won't be forgotten easily by people because it maybe gives an indication of the true
Right.
colors.
So how many
Yes.
times do you have to issue a report? That one was pretty good, as you said. There
I
was
think
no
so.
if on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So after that, if people like SJ still don't believe it, then do you issue one in 2 days and you
know who's
recraft
gonna
it with
decide?
social media's editing?
Yes.
So you get Twitter to edit your apology, and then you put another one out, and then people are like, "Well, you're only doing it because Twitter was mad at you." Okay,
Yeah,
who's
then
going to
you're
decide
pandering.
is the
Yeah.
customer. His whole industry is, do you go out and pay to watch him in a movie? And I think that the next thing that he puts out will be huge. And I think that will be the decision.
I don't even think that that's a benchmark.
Yeah.
Honestly, are we saying here that people are not going to go see Will Smith movies? People are going to see Mel Gibson movies. People nominate
that's
Mel
what I'm
Gibson
saying,
for all.
which means he won't
this is
lose.
not a punishment.
No, but which means he's not going to lose.
Nobody's
what I'm
losing.
saying.
Chris Rock's not losing, as you said. He's not losing. That is not when SJ was he's worried he's going to lose movie deals.
He won't.
He owns his own production company. He's $1 billion bankable star.
in
He's not
itself,
losing anything.
right,
So
is
what do we
such
need?
a
What do
problem.
we need for him? Should
Is
he
he
go
too
to the
big?
White House and get I don't know, have to serve meals to everybody? What do we need?
Because you know who loses? I think we lose. I think we lose because we have to bear witness to it. We are weighing in on it. And I don't mean we, the four of us. I just mean collectively, people having to bear witness and be a part of their careers. Because if we're not a part of it, they don't have one. And so it's very hard for me to understand.
Society, though.
It is.
Right?
It
Isn't
is.
it a litmus test for who we are as a society
And somehow
right now?
they get away with it, celebrities, and we are left holding it.
Yeah.
And that is troubling to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.